Hey guys, so today we'll be learning about how to set up Cube.js, what it actually is, and how do we work around with it. What is the best way of setting it up, or at least my best way of setting it up. So let's get started. First of all, like what Cube is, it is like a way for analyzing the data that we have. It is mostly used for generating reports where we are having a lot of data and we want to get some detailed information out of it. Correct? That is where we use Cube.js. What we actually do is like there is our DB. Let me show you my DB, wherein we have a lot of data. So generally DB only have data, right? So for us to set up Cube.js, we want what do we want here is that we want to see the insides of that data. We want to gather the data like instead of doing a very complicated SQL query, we will want to use a very simple cube query where the Cube.js will help us do the processing of the SQL query. So let's get started with setting it up. My preferred way of setting it up is with Docker, because Docker, like, it's wholly in our control, and we can also set it up with Cube Core on the web, or there are some free resources like a free Amazon account that you are given. But for me, I feel that setting it up in Docker is the best way for me. So for me to set up the cube file, what I've done here is this, where I have created an image of cube. I took the cube latest. You can find this things particularly best on the websites or the documentation page. But what I'm showing you is what I currently have. You can change it up to your needs or your requirements. Perfect. So I gave all the ports, and then I like give my DB credentials. These are all local DB. If you don't know how to use Docker, you got to learn that first. Next, what we are going to do is this. We can like mount volumes to it, but right now I have not kept it that way because like we will do that in production. And so like there is no volume for cube to work on. We only are giving cube the ports to work on. Like it generally runs on localhost 4000. Oh sorry, there is a volume there. My bad. No, but no worries. Now let's say that I have all the setup done. First of all, you got to know cube.js file. This is like the package.json of cube, I guess. Where what happens here is that we define everything that we need, that what we are going to use, or like the filters that we have. So what do you have here is that this is a check auth function. What are we doing here? We are just taking the request.headers and we are converting that to a bearer. We are just authenticating the token that we have. We have an helper function called verify cube. What it does is that it takes the token and takes the env secret that we are passing it into the Docker file, and we are using this to verify that whether our user is authenticated or not. Now it is very important for us in the later stages that we know that what the user is actually, because what happens is that we want to give role based access with our system, wherein we provide the particular data's access to only a particular user of a particular organization ID. Now what organization ID here is there are a lot of organizations that we have, and inside of that we have a particular ID that we give to a particular customer or a particular user. A customer is a different concept. So what happens is that user authentication helps us to write a SQL query or a SQL secret query, wherein this is an example of it, where we are scoping out our data response to a particular organization ID. You will get to know what security context is, what compile context is, just in a bit. So what we have here is the first page of our documentation, where we are having the data about how we set up our cube file. What we happen to have here is that we have a module.exports. This is where whatever the data that we want to give back to the particular individual cube file that we have over here, we pass it from this particular module. This is it, where checkout function just runs first of all. Then we have query rewriter and context to API ID. What does query rewriter do? It is basically what is happening is that we are checking that the security context that we have, is it valid or not. If we do not pass in a security context, then it will intercept. It's kind of a middleware where it will intercept and not let the query happen. So query writer gets an argument of or a parameter of query and the security context. That is how we can control a lot of things about cube, but for our simple use case we are keeping it to just checking if the security context is present or not. Next we have context to API. What it does is that it gives me the ID or the API ID that I have inside of the security context. I'll just show you what a security concept context looks like in a bit. This is what a playground is like. This is our home page of cube where the magic happens, or we can say we can test things out that we have. What are these things? These are the database columns that we have. These are multiple fields, values and attributes that I have in my personal DB. You will have your own. What a security context is this? This is my organization ID. What I have done is that I have created a token for this particular JSON data, and this token that we have passed, we just showed that this is where we are decrypting it inside of verify cube function, and this particular token we are receiving inside of our logs. For the playground purposes, what I've done is I just edit it and I just paste that particular token, and then it retrieves it, and then it has this JSON secret inside of the Docker file. So it takes on from that secret your super secret here, and this is where what we are doing is happening that that's it. What we have is security context. Now what will happen is that basic parameter is set. This video is not for absolute beginners. This is for those who have some knowledge of how backend works and how security contexts work. You need to take a look into that first before you start working on cube here. Now let us do some work where we can get actual cube in action. Let's say there are order items where I have order ID, where I have the first name, last name and the item total. What is happening here is that this is the generated SQL query. If you were to find the data that we want, you would have to write a similar query, but instead what a REST API section will do is this is what our front end, the REST front end will send to us. Cube also supports Power BI and GraphQL, but we'll not dive into those topics right now, because let's keep our focus to this. What has happened is that orders.orders ID is selected from the dimensions. Let us take a look at the code. Let us say this is my orders file. What is happening is that I have imported the orders data from my cube, and then this dimensions file is generated automatically. It is taken like it's a way, like we can write it on our own as well. These are just the field and their types that we have inside of our DB. That's it. Nothing crazy or weird going on here. So what is happening in my query that I am generating is that I am taking the orders.order ID. Now what is order ID? Let me just find order_ID is this. What is the order ID? First of all, let's take a look at that. This is just a field for my orders database. What have I done in the order items is what we call as a join. What are order items? Then you may ask that. Those are the other relations with my orders database, correct? My order items is a different database schema. My orders is a different database schema, but I have joined them through an SQL query here. Now we are having a one-to-many relation because one order can have multiple order items. Next, when we go to the actual order ID, that is the query that we get, is the field that we are having over here. Now let us do one thing, that we run this query. This is in the playground, and we will get some results. What are we getting here? We are getting the order ID, we are getting the first name, we are getting the last name and the item total. These are the fields that we have selected. Now we can also select a few measures which we will talk in the later videos. We can say what are the counts or what is the shipping total for a particular order. This is where we get it. As we have not shipped the product or we have cancelled the order, we don't know the case what may be. So what we are keeping here is null, but for those orders which are correct and shipped and not cancelled, where this is where we are putting in the total values of shipping, while we have this is what the database tells us. Thanks for watching. We'll meet in the new video.